All right, Florida Congresswoman who was charged with stealing millions in COVID relief funds is exposed for allegedly photoshopping a $100,000 ring brought with fraud money out of her picture. So she photoshopped the ring out of her picture because she didn't want people to know that she had money or could afford that type of ring. And she photoshopped it out of her official picture, and they released that official picture. And she did PPP loan fraud and FEMA fraud. Sheila McCormick, okay? Sheila McCormick is new to the political arena. Just in 2021, she was essentially replaced with Alisi, the former judge that was in her position. She died, and so the next option was for Sheila, the congresswoman. And midterms is coming up. And states like Florida, who are devoutly racist, don't want no black people in their arenas, okay? You see what they did to Andrew when he thought he was going to run against Ron DeSantis, had him roped up, had him hot of his mind, and had escorts taking pictures of him folded up like he was involved in the Diddy freak-out. And now you feel like you're going to come up out here and be your black self and shake up the pool and advocate for the black caucus, the Congress black caucus, advocate for Haitians, which is some of your people, and think that these people in Florida ain't finna get you up off of that ballot, ain't finna figure out a way to ruin and sabotage your opportunity to be elected and voted for during the midterms. So, yeah, she got caught up for PPP loan fraud, FEMA fraud, all this other stuff. You can be very much like Fannie Willis. You want to stand up in a black church down in Florida and say it's racism because they get you for your goddamn crimes, okay? I would caution anybody that feels like they're going to stand up for her and advocate for her before them crackers investigate you for PPP loan fraud, too. Yes, indeed. And this ain't the only thing. Word on the curb from some locals in Florida, it hasn't been publicized. She do food stamp fraud, the seafood boils, king crab legs, and everything. Yeah, doing PPP loan fraud for your family, your mother, your father, your grandma. Shit, she worse than Ashley Oakley on Real Housewives of Atlanta, Georgia, putting bank loans and getting loans and PPP loans and shit out of your deceased relatives' names, to enrich yourself, want to edit out this big ass bling bling, knowing that you ain't got that goddamn bling bling. Look like you a straight descendant from the Congo, and why is you wearing them diamond rings, knowing that your people suffered to get them, okay? You thought you was the smartest, the brightest tool in the shed. Donald Trump and the feds is coming knocking on your door and telling you can hit up for PPP loan fraud. Ain't nobody gonna come to your rescue, because if they do, they crimes and they fraud will also be exposed, okay? 5 year statute of limitation for PPP loan fraud. You must have just did this shit and the statute of limitation was about to expire and they got your ass up out of there and up out of your seat prior to the midterms, because the racist white boys and the QAnon conspiracy theorists, they want your goddamn spot. She was new to the game coming in here. I would say, she looked like she's a bit more socially acceptable and universal than Jasmine Crockett. The hair is big, but she look every bit of Haitian, okay? Go and get Kodak Black some help before we ask you what the fuck you gonna decide on behalf of Americans and black people, okay? PPP loan fraud, you want to take a deal and don't want to go to jail, go back to your island, okay? Go on back over there, okay? You part of them Negroes that probably was over here during the revolution and Abraham Lincoln sent your family back to Haiti. Now you back over here thinking that you're gonna slaughter some white pigs instead of some black ones. Now, they slaughtered your goddamn ass. Get on up out of here and don't blame it on God and Jesus. Even the Muslims is tricking people up out of their religions and out of their spot. When I seen this shit, I like to die. Look at this, y'all.
Oh, Jesus! Yallah, Jesus, forgive me! Forgive me, please! My brothers, my sisters, please listen to me. That video from the hospital, it went everywhere. I know many of you are angry with me now. You send me words of hate. You say you will hurt my family. Please, I beg you by the name of God, do not touch them. They are innocent. They did not choose what I chose.
Brothers, you call me traitor. You write to me. You say my turning to Christ is haram. I did not choose this. Wallahi, I had no choice. In the night of my pain, he came. Jesus showed himself to me. He is the true God. He spoke to my heart. How can I deny what my eyes have seen?
Peace be upon you, my dear brothers and sisters. I hold this phone now and I cannot stop my tears. Since that video from the hospital, you people, you have poured love on me like a river. I read the messages, the prayers. I feel them in my bones. Thank you, Wallahi, I thank you. All my 70
They doing any and everything for a click and view. They got Nicki Minaj up on a stage operating as an Indian woman on behalf of Black Americans to tell us the word about what's happening to the Christians being persecuted by Muslims over in Nigeria. Donald Trump done bombed them people on Christmas like we give a damn and give a fuck. But I guess he got permission from MAGA Bar to do so. Then pops up a Muslim man with the same facial expression, different things on his head to, diversify. But I know AI when I see it. This Muslim allegedly converted to Christianity. And we know out of the three Abrahamic religions, they want Judaism to be the number one religion. And Judaism is, in fact, the number one religion because Muslim and Christianity is a byproduct of Judaism. So it's not surprising to me that they will propagate and promote these people out here acting like they're doing it in the name of God and doing it for God and doing it under the guise of Christianity so that the Judaism people could actually loop that back around and say that, guess what? If you are a Christian, then the Bible and religion tell you to protect Israel and protect the Jewish people. If you are Muslim, even though you have your own set of beliefs and religion, we all know the basis of being Muslim comes out of Judaism, which is the head honcho of the Abrahamic religions. Me personally, I'm like, let's do away with it all. Let's do away with all religions and beliefs. And niggas just don't know what to do. They just keep falling for the okie doke. What about, what's his name? Igbo Noah that took and grifted the whole Bible story up out here. Now he had a concert acting like he finna be Kanye West. The prophet who predicted that the world would end on Christmas Day after the parties. He's at a concert now he's on the big screen. He got smoke and fire behind him. He's still wearing this cheap ass Yeezus outfit like he homeless and shit like that while collecting all of y'all's money over there in the Congo and Ghana. And y'all bitches still praising and screaming for him to made him a household brand. No more or less than the powers that be that let this Muslim man devote his life to Christ. I smell a scam. Oh, dirty, busty ass, dumbass, Pookie Ray Ray ass nigga that look just like that man that beat the shit out of his own daughter and put her in a coma. Ain't shit good about you. You a whole grifter. Why the hell are they praising this dude? Okay, the cheap old clothes and the outfit, the stick, the wooden stick, like you motherfucking the babu from Lions King finna swat somebody with these dirty ass, cheap ass clothes, partying up, not combing your hair, making think people that you ain't took they some money and did whatever the hell that you wanted to do with it. Ray Ray is what it's given. The only thing you need to do is beat a bitch, and you probably did in fact beat a couple women. And them same women that came over there looking at your ships and shit that you got on stilts, and it ain't even enough water over there in Nigeria to pick them bitches up. After y'all done ate all the bush meat out of the ocean and the motherfucking land. God said to take 2 of every animals and put it in the ship. You ate them motherfuckers. Straight bush meat, monkeys, hyenas, bears, lions, tigers. And I don't even believe that these ships is real because they eyes a motherfucker. If anything, they made out of paper mache. Who the fuck gave you money? And why the fuck do you feel like you got to put this fucking, what's that fucking stick called? The bamboo stick that they roll the seeds out of and flatten and make shoes and shit out of. That's what the fuck kind of apartment that he got on, looking like Dobby the house elf from Harry Potter with this goddamn outfit on. Talking about what you gonna do and who you gonna save, bitch ass nigga. Had women carrying everything that they own on top of their motherfucking head. Let me tell you something about African women. If you never thought that balance could be a motherfucker, the crown is heavy for a reason. You gotta train, you gotta hold them books on your head and balance it. Fuck the books. These ladies done took everything they own. From the seeds, the plant, the growth of new vegetation, to the pocketbook with nothing in that motherfucker, to fish to last them on their walking journey. They carried it all on their goddamn head. They got a whole condo on their head while this nigga live rent-free like ships and condos in these people's heads and people's pocketbook, saying that he was Igbo Noah, and we're still out here praising and worshiping him. I smell a scam and an op. It's giving psyop. And I keep on wondering about the Atlantic slave trade. If a bitch ass, dirty ass, bum ass nigga like this in 2025, when we know we see African princes and princesses dripping in gold and diamond, if a bum ass, homeless looking, smelly ass, dirty boo ass nigga like this could convince thousands of people to leave everything behind and put their trauma and their life and their future in his hand, I'm rethinking the Atlantic slave trade. Were we victims, or did the white folks just dangling off of us a candy bar or some bush meat to lure us on the motherfucking ships? Because by the time you're on the ship and traveling through the hurricane fault line, motherfucker, ain't nobody swimming back to go tell everybody in Africa roses ain't gold. It smell like boo, ooh, ooh, don't you? Ain't nobody tell them that. How did they get that signal back? I guess we really like the 12 monkeys, where one monkey on one island figured out how to peel a banana and eat a potato, and the rest of them figure the same way out, telekinesis, telepathically. And that's where you bring the character of Storm from X-Men that talks about that and the history of slavery and the Atlantic slave trade and why hurricanes and thunder and lightning is formed during the Atlantic slave trade route to America. That's where that X-Men character Storm come from. But where does this nigga come from looking like Nightcrawler? Looking like Nightcrawler cosplaying, just zapping your way in this. You go from this place to, and then you end up in a party, then in a concert, and now you on Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA stage and doing a motherfucking bid and backhanded with Nicki Minaj dumb ass talking about Christians being persecuted in Nigeria when your ass done persecuted them to pack, then convinced them to pack up everything that they own, put it on top of their head, to come over here and scam these motherfucking people, escaping one prosecution and persecution to be traumatized. And this how you get so many mixed cultures. Now, if all the Nigerians and the people from Congo that walked over here to this ship that he's in another part of Africa, him and the rest of the men over there that think that they're upper echelon, then fooled these people out their homeland and their home country, because there's 53 countries in Africa, right? Gonna end up procreating with them. And them bastard children gonna keep on fucking up the nation and feel like this is the way to go. Mr. Igbo Noah is giving Nature Boy, and that nigga called a life sentence. So when the fuck is you going to jail for scamming people? If you ask me, I can't stand no loser like this. Religion. Sunday on the laws that they keep on playing. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think about Igbo Noah in the comment section below. All right, the final piece of content that we're going to get to before we take a break and come back live to talk about and cover Baddies USA live, because I'm really, really interested in it, is the Somalis. Yes, indeed. The Somalis are effing up the American economy. And I've already stated that the Somalis are a problem for Black Americans. The New York Federal Business Investigation Department decided to take the stats and statistics about the Somalis up in New York City unaliving, harming the Asian community, and use those stats to help the Asians get an anti-hate crime bill in this country as an immigrant based upon the immigrants that's hurting them. They even used the white boy over in Atlanta, Georgia on St. Patrick's Day going in to shoot up a parlor of Asian people, and they got an Asian hate crime bill. And it goes specifically against Black people that wish that they owned the bodegas. You know, shit, I was a badass kid. 2025, after the Asian hate crime bill, you let your son and your daughter go over there and steal Mr. Lean Honey Bun and knock him across the head because he tried to stop them. They going to jail for a hate crime. On behalf of the Somalis, deport the Haitians, the Somalis, anybody that's here fucking it up for Black Americans. We ain't got no business dealings with y'all, okay? If Black women, Congresswomen in Florida going to jail for PPP loan fraud, why the fuck is the Somalis over in Minnesota with their political backings and shell corporations called nonprofit organizations taking millions and millions and millions of dollars out of the American economy to enrich themselves, saying that they're doing it on behalf of American kids to be in daycares or Somali kids to be in daycares, and they know they ain't showing up to daycare? All the millions of dollars that they get, they looking at the kids like they believe them and like they don't belong there. Kids walking bare feet, eating boogers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Somali long-haired ass niggas.
He's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab, and others enriched themselves all at the US taxpayers' expense. And in this video we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish, from going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions of dollars from the government. And we will also be confronting the incompetent government leaders who let this fraud happen. And to make this happen, I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation for years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand. His name is David. Let's get into this and be prepared to be shocked. How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in Minneapolis, I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud, and I would see these child care centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day, and all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once.
Wow.
And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
So right here we have all this paperwork. And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research, and then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a childcare not far from here in Minneapolis that has two childcares listed at the same address, and together they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever, and I've been by that place at least 100 times.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations, and even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money?
Local politicians.
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money, so it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing, is you have daycare, so you have adult daycare, and then you have child care, and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different
that's crazy.
types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation, and a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
And the government knows about this.
The government knows, they're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community. They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about, is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe. And they're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand. This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud.
And that is true.
And they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it. Tim Walz saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing? This is the Minnesota law which mandates that anyone who knows of fraud